Hey everybody, it's Dominic Rubino here. How are you? This is our second attempt at doing this episode. Hopefully you see it. Facebook just popped up a message and said this isn't working anymore. So hopefully this take, what do you call it? My second try today will work. As I said just a moment ago, I was recording. Some of you may have been on the other recording, and it just died. It just died on me. So I don't know why, but here we are now. We're going to talk about what does it take to do $1 million in revenue as a contractor in the construction business. I've got 7 points that I've put aside here that I want to take you through. The question came from you guys, from some listeners. I shouldn't say listeners because it's the audience in general. My goodness, I'm on so many different places where we're posting and reaching out to the community and building that network with the construction world. And so I just keep getting this general theme back. And in one of our office meetings, somebody pointed out to me that this keeps coming up as a question, so we should probably answer it. And so here we are. So one of the things that you need to know is we're going to be talking about what does it take to do $1 million a year. But if you want to talk more about this stuff, if you want to hear more about hitting $1 million a year or growing your business in general, certainly listen to this podcast. Thanks for doing that. But join me on the Facebook group as well. We've started a Facebook group called Contractor Strategy Group. It's growing really fast. It seems like this is a big question for lots of us out there on how to grow the contracting business by, working smarter, working from the neck up, not just working from the neck down. So working smarter, not harder is what you might have heard before. So that's what we do here. So I'm going to walk you through this. And we're going to take you into what does it take to do $1 million a year. So one question you might have is, Dom, have you ever done this before? Have you ever hit $1 million a year? I won't go into it too much, but the answer is absolutely, a couple times now. Not only have I gotten to $1 million a year, not only in revenue, but also in profit, but I've also sold a couple of businesses now that have done that. So I'm in a good place to be able to talk to you about that. And I've been a business coach since the year 2000. So that's 20 years now. And I've worked with many other business owners who I've walked through and shown how to do that too. So take some notes. I've got some things to share that's going to move you along in your path, right? So the one thing that's really important to understand is the people that are growing their businesses really see themselves as students. And I see myself as a student too. I don't think I have all the answers here. I certainly do not. I've never claimed to be the smartest guy in the room, but I will tell you, I always work really, really hard at being the most curious guy in the room. And then, like I think everybody else here, I will work like a dog. I will try to outwork, outthink, outsmart everybody to get where my goal wants me to go. And if you've got those things in your back pocket as well, if you've got that work ethic that got you to where you are today, that got you to thinking about listening to a show like this, then you're probably on the right path. But let's keep you going on that right path. All right. So the first thing, I've got 7 points, as I said. The first thing I want you to keep in mind is if you want to get to $1 million, the very first thing you have to do is don't fool yourself. Are you trying to get to $1 million in revenue, total sales, or are you trying to get to $1 million in profit? Because you should be aiming for revenue, understanding that profit will follow. Every job we do needs to be a profitable job, but we have to hit $1 million in revenue to do that. I did some really basic math. You can probably do this in your head as well. But in order to do $1 million in revenue, have you ever broken down what it takes to do $1 million in revenue on a monthly basis? What about on a daily basis? On a daily basis, and I did the math here, if you work 5 days a week, and I'll talk more about that. Some of you are laughing. You're like, Dom, I don't work 5 days a week. I work 8 days a week. But if you work 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, because you take 2 weeks off, doing whatever national holidays we've got, then that's 250 days. That means in order to hit $1 million a year, you've got to do $4,000 a day in sales, just bringing in $4,000 a day in work, right? So if you cruise on a job site for a week, that needs to be $4,000 times 5 days. That means it needs to be a $20,000 job or a combination of jobs that gets you to that point, right? So that's what it takes to get there. It's about $83,000 a month in sales to get to $1 million in revenue. Now, some of you are thinking, Dom, that is impossible. How am I ever going to get there? I'm doing 200-300 grand right now, or we're just at 800,000 and I'm stuck. We cannot get bigger. Everybody's been there before. There's no other way to tell you that than that. You are at a place many other people have been before and will get you past it. Okay. But you got to keep doing what you're doing now, which is using the noodle to get past it. So, all right, so the first thing is number one, revenue versus profit. Don't get confused. Stay focused on the goal. Try to hit that revenue target as hard as you can. And that comes from selling. Some of you don't want to hear that. And that's okay. I'm still going to say it. It comes from selling. You might be really good on the tools. There's no cabinet maker that's better than you. There's no countertop person in the world better than you. There's no electrician in the world better than you. Well, that's great. Why don't you call yourself at that level a master? Beyond Red Seal, you're now a master at being on the tools. And now it's time for you to learn some new skills. I'd actually have to say, you probably don't have to learn some new skills. You've already got the skills to be the business person you want to be. You just have to take pieces of you and shine them up, buff them up and bring them forward. Your technical skills, it's time to push those down to other people, and you've got to bring up your business skills. Fair enough, right? You're no longer being paid to be really good on the tools. You're now being paid to make sure other people are good on the tools. And that's a mind shift you're going to need to make in order to grow your business, right? So the same mind shift we all have to make. There's a difference between leading and doing. And once you start to work in that world, you'll figure it out. Keep listening to this show and many others like it so you get that information, okay? Second thing is, people say, Dom, I want to grow, but I don't actually want to give up some things, right? We got to the point in our lives where we have families. We can see the importance of hanging out with our families. And so the values that I see coming forward when I sit down and have meetings, behind closed doors with other business owners, probably a lot like you, they've said, Dom, look, we are at this number in sales per year. Let's just say, for the sake of it, they're already at $1 million in sales. Now, some of you who are at 200-300 grand are thinking, oh man, if I was at $1 million in sales, everything would be different. Well, let me tell you what happens when I walk into the office of somebody who's already at $1 million in sales. I walk in, we say hi. Hey, Dom, do you want a coffee? Do you want a water? Absolutely. Thank you so much. Go back in. We walk into the boardroom, close the door, and the guy turns around and looks at me and says, Dom, man, we're stuck at $1 million. Things will be different, so much better if we were just 1.5 million. You see, the question always remains the same. It's your number that changes in your head. And that's fine. No matter where you got to now, where you are now, you want to get to somewhere else. And that's okay. You might actually be saying, Dom, we're at 1.5 million, but we're not profitable. Like, I need to be profitable, which is the right question to come to a guy like me with. How do I be more profitable? So again, revenue versus profit. But I want to keep this in mind. There are 3 values that come up a lot with people, and they don't want to give up these values. They don't want to trade these for growth, and I get it. So when you listen to me, when you're in any of my material, you're always going to see these things still front and foremost, and I don't want you to give them up, and you probably don't want to give them up. And the 3 are, people always say, Dom, family is important, my faith is important, and fitness is still important. Now, not everybody says all 3, but those 3 come up quite a bit. And so if you're in the same boat where you're saying, look, family's important, faith is important, or fitness is important, or any other value you have, I get it. And we can work the business around that. You don't have to give up anything to move forward. One of my uncles, I have a lot of uncles. I'm Italian. I have a lot of uncles. One uncle in particular stands out to me. When I was in high school, I started working with him as a framing contractor. I did forms, and then I did, just inside stick framing, 2x4 framing with him. And that was great. But he's a great man. He really is. And I've always admired him. My cousins turned out to be great people. But one of the things he told me, because I asked, I said, why are you such a cool dad? Like, I remember being a kid and he turned 30 and I thought, oh, he's so cool for 30 years old. His name's Uncle Giulio, a classic Italian name. And he said, Dom, you know what? I listened to the Cats in the Cradle. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard that song. Johnny Cash has done it. God, I can't remember who did the original. Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, Little Boy Blue and the Man on the Moon. He goes, I listened to that song and I don't want to be that guy. If you ever are questioning what you're doing, working every single day, working late at night, after hours, then you got to question the way you're doing work. And my uncle built a very, very successful framing company. I know there's lots of framers listening here. And he did it while still having a great family. He didn't burn it all just to build the business. He understood the value. Two of his kids played high-level hockey. One of his daughter, my cousin, is a doctor, brain doctor, and she's now on the speaking circuit. They've done very well, and he provided all of that for them from swinging a hammer. Actually, he fell off the roof once too. The guy's unstoppable. He's the closest thing to Superman you're ever going to meet. Great guy. Anyways, family, faith, and fitness. I will not ask you to waver from those three things. All right. Third thing I want you to keep in mind is your time management. This goes back and something I learned from my uncle when I was a kid in high school, pulling up in my beat up Toyota pickup truck to work as a framer. Actually, listen, let's be honest. I was a laborer on that site before he let me do inside walls or outside walls or screw up spiral stairs, because I did quite the number on framing those spiral stairs. Not a good number, by the way. But time management's important. If you find yourself working late at night because you got to get that estimate done, that job done, that bid done, then I'm going to ask you to manage your time better. Being a master of time management is critically important for success. Doesn't matter whether it's in sports or in fitness or in politics or in government or in medicine or in research or in just being a great dad or mom. Time management, absolutely critical beyond all of this. So if you're already working late at night, I want you to change the way you do the day. The very first thing I'm going to put to you, the very first task, is I just want you to be able to find a way to take half a day off a week. Now, some of you are already going, this Rubino guy's full of beep. Okay, great. I still want that stuck in your head. How can I take off half a day a week? And you can do anything you want with that half a day. I don't care what you do. What I care is that you take that half a day because your brain needs to recharge. You need to do what you want with that half a day. And that half a day is not for estimates and payroll and payables. That's for something else. The second thing I want you to do is start to change the end of your day, the end of your work day. So let's say you're a framer like my uncle was. It doesn't matter what your trade is, cabinet maker, electrician, painter, roofer, solar panels, mason, pools, doesn't matter. I want you to take one day a week where you get off the tools early. So maybe you work, let's just say for the sake of it, Tuesdays. You only work until lunchtime. So you have your lunch with the crew. They all go back on the job site. You go back into your truck. And there, in your truck, I know it's uncomfortable, in your truck, you do your estimates, your payroll, and things like that. You can do it. With technology today, you can do those things. I know we're in a bit of a crazy time in the world right now, so it's not as easy to go to a Starbucks or any coffee shop and work, but find a way. Just find a way. Like, did you know you can walk into a public library and log onto the internet and do your work there? There's no excuse. And the excuse I'm giving you here, or I'm assuming I'm hearing, is money. I can't afford to get another office space. It's going to take me too long to drive back to the office or my house to do the work. Well, don't. Do it in your truck. And if that doesn't work, do it in a coffee shop. If that doesn't work, do it at the library. If that doesn't work, find a way, right? In the city I live in, I can pull up next to the hockey arena and I can get the Wi-Fi from them if I park in a certain part of the parking lot. So you can still get the things you need to get if you try hard. But thinking different is the key to being different, the key to being a leader. So if you really want to get your business to $1 million and above, you are going to need to think differently. And you can do it. You've already gotten yourself here. It's going to take a little bit of different thought to get to the next level. All right, let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is attitude. You know, if I gave you a test right now and I said, hey, if you had a choice of 3 perfect people in front of you to hire, they all did the trade that we need them to do. Let's stick with framing just for today's episode, if that's okay, because I just talked about my Uncle Julio and he was a framer. Let's just say he's got 3 framers in front of him, but he can only afford 1. They all have the same level of technical skill, okay? But here's the 3 things that if he had to use a one-word description to describe each of these people, this is what he would say. Person number 1 has a lot of skill. Person number 2 has a lot of knowledge. Person number 3 has a really good attitude. Which one of those people would you choose to be your next employee? Mr. Skills, Mr. Knowledge, or Mr. Attitude? Or Miss Skills, Miss Knowledge, and Miss Attitude? Which one of those 3 people would you choose? I don't mind. Whatever your answer is your answer. But I'll tell you, for me, I will choose attitude every single day over knowledge and skills. It is the most critical thing for building a team. And it's the most critical thing my team is looking for in me as a leader, is my attitude. I've got to be a winner. I have to build a team of winners, not whiners, not people who place blame, make excuses, who are always negative, who are in denial, who are always worried about what somebody else got and what they lost. I don't have time for that drama. Leave that for TV shows, man. I want people on my team who are winners. They're positive. They take responsibility. They take ownership for the things they do. They have some sort of vision for the future. I don't care what it is. I don't care what their vision is. I just want to know that they're the kind of people who have a vision. And then the other thing is they're consumed with excellence, right? So they want to get better. They want to learn. Remember earlier I was talking about being a teacher or a student and what's important here in your own personal growth and being the business leader you need to be to earn a business that's doing $1 million or more in revenues. It comes down to attitude, right? So look for people who are, we call them victors. We call them people who are above the line. They're victorious. People below the line, we call them whiners. Some of you have already heard the word. We might call them losers. But if you have a negative attitude, a below the line attitude, life's never going to get better for you. Life can't get better for you or for me unless I get it better in my head. And I can control my attitude. I can control it 100% no matter what's going on. And I want you to do the same thing. And I want you to look for those kind of people on your team. The attitude of the people around you, you can just sense it. You've gone on a job site before and you know there's a crew over there and you're like, man, these guys are dialed in. They've all got the same uniforms. They work with the same intensity. They work with the same quality. They've got a good attitude. They're laughing. They're working. Maybe they've got music playing. Whatever they've got. You can just see that's a team. And then if you ever walked onto a job site and you're like, oh, these guys again. Oh my gosh. Just the worst attitude. Blame, excuse, negative, complaining, denial, scarcity, angry, mean. What the heck? You get to choose. You get to choose, and I get to choose which crew you're going to run. And if you don't have the crew you want right now, my friend, it is your company. Change it. Do what you need to change it. That is item number 4 on this list. I should say, by the way, these are not in priority order. These are just 4. These are 7 things you're going to need to keep in mind. Let's move to number 5. You guys ready for that? Number 5 right now. Revenue versus profit. I want to revisit that now. Make sure you are doing your jobs and tracking your profit. That's a really important thing to make sure of. I have a client right now. They are actually a $4 million family business, believe it or not. Why did I say believe it or not? They're a $4 million family business and they're a great family. These guys are fun to work with. They're super nice. But one of the challenges they had is they're stuck in their growth. They're at $4 million and they're kind of stuck. And so one of the things that we put in place is a little tiny report. Some of you may have read my article on this that was in Forbes magazine. It had a funny title and it happened just before the whole COVID pandemic. So it kind of fell flat. But some of you have read it because I've gotten feedback. It's called the Leprechaun Report. For fun, it's called the Leprechaun Report. We put it out at St. Patrick's Day. You guys will remember here in North America. In Australia and over in England, my listeners over there, and in New Zealand, St. Patrick's Day was basically when the pandemic was officially announced throughout North America and things started to shut down on the airlines and stuff. So Forbes asked me to do an article for St. Paddy's Day, and we had this big buildup, and then St. Paddy's Day hit, and it all just went away. But anyways, the Leprechaun Report is really a profitability report. It's super easy to do. What you do with it, though, is super important, and it's what gets you to that point. So I want you to remember every job's got to be profitable, and you and I won't know if a job's profitable until the job's done and until we look back at it, right? So in our estimating, we estimate with profits in mind, but then at the end, we have to go back and look at it and say, hey, did we make profit? It's really, really important to do that report, and we'll talk more about it here. And again, if you want to read the report, go check it out in Forbes magazine. If you just type into your search bar Forbes, and then my last name, Rubino, you'll see all the articles I wrote and look at the Leprechaun Report one. Okay, you'll get a lot of insight there. All right, that's number 5. Number 6. Number 6 is selling versus whatever we do for a business. Which one is more important to get to $1 million? Is it more important to be good at building, making, fixing, installing, and renovating things? Or is it more important to sell? Now, some of you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Selling is the most important thing. Nothing happens until a sale is made. Now, you probably didn't get into your trade because you wanted to sell. You got into your trade because you're really good with your hands. You had a vision. You can create things. You can pull together teams. You can make stuff happen. You know how to fix any problem. And so for me to tell you selling is the most important thing to get to $1 million might be making you a bit angry. So I apologize for that, but selling is the most important thing. There's a visual I always come up with, and some of you that listen know that I love the outdoors and I love fishing and I love hunting, so I'm going to use this visual, and it won't be a surprise to you. Some of you also know that, believe it or not, when I went to school, I got a degree in archaeology. I'm actually a forensic anthropologist from Simon Fraser University. As you can tell, I didn't do anything with that. It was fun, but here's the analogy I want to give you: is your company is a tribe, and your tribe right now is out in the elements, and you're huddled in a cave, and it's raining outside, and it's cold, and it's dark. Inside the cave, you've got a fire burning. You've got people sitting all around of various ages. There's men and women, there's boys and girls, there's little children. And you're the chief of this little tribe, this little group that's wandering in the wilderness, and you're huddled in a cave. Small fires are burning, smoke in the cave, rain outside. And your tribe is starving. What do you guys do? Do you organize the fire better, or do you send out a hunting party? You got to send out the hunting party, right? For your tribe to survive, you got to send out the hunting party. They have to go out and have to find food. Now, you can send out the hunting party, but you can also send other people out to gather and forage for, food they need. Whatever it is, you've got to send teams out there to bring stuff back to the tribe so we can all live better and grow and be alive. It's the same thing for you and I as business owners. We need people to go out there and sell. We need people to go out there and market, bring those whatever they got back, drag the deer back, drag in back the wild potatoes and onions that you found, whatever it is. And then the tribe can thrive and survive. And you're in that same position. I hope you understood my crazy little analogy there. But that's really, really important. And are you doing that? So selling is an important part of being a great contractor. And here's something that I know about you that you probably already know, but maybe nobody's ever told you. But you're the best contractor in your city. You actually are the best solution for anybody who's looking for, let's say you build pools. Let's say you build ponds. Let's say you build decks and gazebos. Doesn't matter what you build. But you're the best solution because you know exactly the quality and care you put into your product. Yeah, you've got competitors. I've got competitors. I don't know what they do in their business. If I really want to help you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jones, or Lopez, if I want to help you, Mr. Lopez, Mr. and Mrs. Lopez, I can help you. I'm the best. My crew is the best in the city, and we can do this job. And that's you going out there and promoting yourself with confidence, not overconfidence, but just with confidence that you can do the job and you can help them out. That is selling and marketing. We talk about that a lot on this podcast because if you want to grow your business, you need to grow it through marketing. Dealing with a client right now, relatively new to me, and one of their problems going into this whole COVID thing is, and they do commercial work. One of the problems is they only had a couple of different commercial GCs that they were doing work with. Well, one of their biggest GCs sort of stopped doing work during COVID, and now they're being affected from that. And one of the risks, one of the problems that we saw right away is the fact that they were relying too heavily on 3 different general contractors for 100% of their work. That's a lot of stress on those two guys, two partners, right? And so we have to change that. And so I ask you those same things. Are you under that kind of stress? Are you thinking about your business from a business perspective, not just being on the tools? So keep that in mind here. One of the things inside of selling versus building, I'm going to ask you this question because you might say, Dom, we're already busy as stink, but we're not profitable. I can't actually do more jobs than I'm doing, but we're not making money on the jobs we do. So I'll go back and I'll ask you a couple other questions here. Do you need more customers or do you need better customers, right? It's a very important thing for you to think about. And it's easy to just cast that aside and say, yeah, Rubino, I get it. More customers, better customers, blah, blah, blah. No, really seriously. Do you need more customers or do you need better customers, better jobs, better deals, maybe in a better part of town, maybe with different general contractors or different homeowners? You know, there's that residential commercial split in our industry. We can all be in construction. Some of us do residential, some of us do commercial. You know, on the residential side, do you get your own deals or do you deal with maybe a contractor who's subbing you in? On the commercial side, maybe you're dealing with designers and builders and architects, or maybe you're finding your own commercial TI work. Whatever it is, do you have the right customers coming to you? And if you don't, go find different customers, right? Stop taking referrals from people who bring you crappy work. I mean, that's where it starts. Even though it's most of the people I talk to say, Dom, we built this business on word of mouth and referral. Well, my friend, business coaches like me, we summarize that in our notes. You see us taking notes while we're talking to you. That's called a hope and a prayer. Hope and a prayer. I have nothing against referrals, nothing against word of mouth, but I can't impact that fast enough to bring in the business I need, the kind of deals I need. I have to go out and farm an area. I have to go out and market to an area knowing that I'm going to get the right kind of referrals and word of mouth out of that area, right? Because if you've got a customer that's horrible to deal with and is a slow payer, do you want them referring you to their friends? No, because their friends are going to be just as bad as them. I want to be dealing with the best homeowners in the best areas. I had a guy named George, he's a painter, and we changed the way he did his business. His average job size went from, I'm going to say about $3,000, I have to look at my notes, to about $8,000. So he'll do a pool house now, a pool house on somebody's property that's about $2,000. He's subcontracting pressure washing and making more profit on the pressure washing than he used to make painting somebody's bungalow in another neighborhood. And one of the things he said, which is kind of funny, he says, you know what, Dom, what I like best about working in nicer neighborhoods? Like, no, George, what do you like about it? He goes, my tools don't get stolen out of the truck anymore. So it's kind of a fun aside. But keep that in mind. Like, do you need better customers? Do you need more customers? Do you need different customers in a different area? If you do, my friend, go get them. Just go get them. Nobody is stopping you. We talk a lot about how to market to get those kind of customers. If you want more information on how to get those kind of customers, shoot me a note and say, Dom, I want to find better customers. Text me at 604-837-8361. Make sure you put your name and your email address in there and I'll send it off to you. All right. So we already talked here a little bit about how do I get my company to $4,000 a day in sales. Well, the first thing is I need you to write that down somewhere so you know that's the number you're trying to hit. And you might think I don't have enough staff, I don't have enough people, my market isn't big enough. We can find a way. We might have to think a little differently, and that's okay, but we can find a way. You're not the only one who solved this problem. People have been in the construction industry since the pyramids were built in Egypt, since those stones were raised on Easter Island, since Stonehenge went up. This is all construction. Since the Romans built the roads, the Colosseum, the amphitheaters, the aqueducts. Construction's been going on for a long time. There have been wealthy contractors for a very, very long time, my friend, and you can be one of them, right? You're just one in a long line of noble people that build long-lasting things, fix stuff. You're not the first one. The systems have been in place for a long time. You just need to dial into those systems and put them in place for yourself. All right. And then the other thing I want to add here is something that's quite often missing in the construction trades. This one here for sure. If you've got a pen and paper, I want you to write this one down. And it's about something called recurring revenue. Yeah, some of you may not have thought about this one before. Some of you are already doing it. There's a couple trades that have recurring revenue built into them. HVAC or mechanical contractors, they have it built in. Pest control's got it built in. Lawn care has it built in. But I want you to think about this. How can you add recurring revenue to your business? How can you add consistent monthly recurring revenue? So somebody that's going to pay you on a service contract month after month. Let's go back and talk about framers for a second, because the framers who are listening are going, Rubino, you don't know about framing. There is no recurring revenue available in our business. We build a 3-story walk-up apartment building and then we move on. We frame a house. We frame something else. We frame a store. Okay. So my question wasn't that, though. It was, how can you build recurring revenue into your business? Maybe it's not through your business. Maybe the profits you generate have to go into something else that generates recurring revenue for you. A very common one is real estate, right? Or some people want to put it in other things that are going to return them revenue. Had one guy in the Facebook comments, remember the Facebook group is called Contractor Strategy Group, and you see lots of interesting conversations there. So join us there on Facebook. But one of the guys is renting out his lift. Brilliant. What a great idea. You've got equipment that you're not using, or you can buy, refurbish maybe on your own and rent out to other people. That's a great way to have recurring revenue, because you can rent out your man lift to somebody else. That's an example. Real estate's an example. Now there's people out there as well, and I've heard your comments, I've seen them, that have said, I don't want to do real estate. What a headache. I'm tired at the end of the day. I don't need to go fix somebody's toilet. Okay, I get it. But when I said real estate, I didn't say buy the actual property. There are other investment tools you can look at. I'm not the expert on this, where you invest in a fund and those people invest in real estate, and that returns you money on money. That money on money is what you need to retire. That money on money is what you need to buy your daughter her braces, to get your son whatever he needs, right? We're parents, we're family, we are brothers and sisters. We need to take care of those around us, because pretty clearly, if you're listening to this show, you're a mover and a shaker and you get stuff done. And so people often look to you for that kind of help. And if you're going to take care of your parents in the future, how are you going to pay for their home nursing? If you're going to take care of your kids, how are you going to pay for their secondary schooling if they want to do it, right? How are you going to help them out if they need to get married, if they need to get braces, or if they need anything, right? How are you going to take care of vacation for you and your wife? It comes from recurring revenue. So the question I'll pose to you, it's just a question, and it's supposed to make you a little bit angry. It's like I call it a hot marble. Like pop it in your ear and it rolls around for a while. Is I'm going to challenge you with answering the question for yourself. How do I get recurring revenue into this business? And I'll give you an example really quick to show you why that's so important. Think about why insurance companies are so big. Think about why banks are so big. Think about the franchise company I just sold that had 237 franchisees in it, and each of those franchisees had a 7-year term. During that 7 years, they had to pay royalties back to myself running the organization. What do you think the value is of having 237 monthly royalty contracts was? You think that was a good number, or you think it was a pitiful number? I'll let you do your own math there, right? So we're talking about business from a business standpoint. We're talking about adding value to other people in a way that helps them in the future. So maybe you just want to go to people and have a service contract for your business, but all the service contract is first priority when there's an emergency, during a storm, during a flood, during a snowstorm, whatever it is, in whatever trade you do. If you have questions on that, shoot me a note. Again, my cell phone number is everywhere. You can reach me. I should be easy to get. 604-837-8361. Text me there and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. All right, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, folks, for checking in with me today. If you want to learn more about being $1 million contractor, first, don't head fake yourself. We're talking about $1 million in revenue or $1 million in profit. First thing to do is get yourself to $1 million in revenue. Then we'll work at getting you to $1 million in profit. And yes, by the way, there are lots of people that pull out millions in profit from the construction business. And it doesn't have to look fancy. It just looks smart. And by the way, the most successful businesses look pretty boring from the outside. Doesn't matter whether you're in mold remediation, slab jacking, or tree removal. Business doesn't have to look sexy to pull out a lot of cash. And that's what we talk about on the show. So thanks for checking in. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, shoot me a note. Otherwise, join me on Facebook on the Contractor Strategy Group. I'd love to connect with you. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.